How does government legislation ensure that women are free from abuse? What is the Maintenance Amendment Bill aimed to achieve? Who is set to benefit from the blacklisting of maintenance defaulters? And how will the 12 to 16 sexual consent age limit impact young boys and girls? What time is it? It's question time. Welcome to Question Time. My name is Mpho Tsedu. The Maintenance Amendment Bill will see parents who default on their child maintenance payments being blacklisted. The bill will be sent to the NCOP for concurrence, making it one step closer to becoming law. Meanwhile, it is no longer a crime for children aged between 12 and 16 engaging in sexual activities such as touching and kissing. A reminder that this is a live program, and therefore you can call us on a use 089-110-4210 or 002-789-110-4210. Our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. My guest today, John Jeffrey, who is the Deputy Minister for the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. But before we welcome the Minister to the program, let us firstly take a look at this insert.
Hardly a day passes without reports of horrific incidents of women and child abuse. But if the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development has its way, this will soon end. The department hopes that through the Maintenance Amendment Bill and Sexual Offences Bill, the rights of women and children will be further protected and truant fathers brought to book.
We have all been currently angered by the rogue elements and criminals who molest women and children and commit other extreme forms of violence.
The Maintenance Amendment Bill that will see child maintenance defaulters being credit blacklisted is one step closer to becoming law. The National Assembly adopted the Maintenance Amendment Bill that allows for personal details of absconding parents to be sent to a credit bureau. In preparation for the upcoming Women's Month, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development's main focus is on winning the fight against sexual violence and discrimination of women.
A reminder that you can call us and air your views on the following numbers: 089-110-4210, or you can tweet us. Our Twitter handle is at QuestionTime24. My guest, Deputy Minister, welcome to Question Time. The blacklisting has made news headlines. Is it a good thing that people who are defaulting on payments of maintenance liabilities should be blacklisted?
Yes, look, that's only one of the provisions in the bill. There's a number of other ones, and all of them are designed to help people get their maintenance. And the problem with a number of cases is parents who can afford to pay maintenance, and because they may be irritated with their ex-partner, they don't. And so it's just one of the provisions to put pressure on the people who owe maintenance to pay it.
Yeah.
You would have seen recently there was a person who got, a mother who got, I think it was about 400,000 rands worth of maintenance finally from the father of her child.
Yes.
But also, just to be clear, the court will conduct an inquiry into how much maintenance you can afford to pay, how much maintenance the other partner is entitled to. So if your circumstances change, then you need to go back to the court and tell the court that you've lost your job or you've been demoted or something like that. So you shouldn't be blacklisted if you can't pay. You would only be blacklisted if you're not paying and you can afford to pay. And being able to pay means obviously that you prioritize your child's maintenance before your car repayments and your DSTV payment.
Okay. Now, do you think this is going to achieve the desired outcome?
Look, obviously what one would want is parents to maintain their children.
Yes.
And this is because so many parents, and it's unfortunately usually fathers, are not, this is one additional pressure point. And hopefully it will make people put more pressure on people to pay their maintenance. It's not going to achieve a dramatic effect, I'm sure, because unfortunately with child support issues, maintenance issues, I think a lot of the problem is bitterness between the parents.
Yeah. Are you going to move that? Perhaps it starts with government employees?
Look, it will be, it's not a blanket issue. It's going to be on a case-by-case basis. So in a particular case where the person owing the maintenance hasn't paid, then the other parent can apply to court for that person's details to be sent to the credit bureau.
Okay. Something which made headlines was the sexual, sex consent age. What is this 12 to 16? Are you saying kids between the ages of 12 and 16 have a right to have sex?
No, well, they can't be criminalized. Just to give a bit of background, a child under the age of 12 cannot consent to sex. So this has got nothing to do with that issue. What the situation was before was that children between the ages of 12 and 16 who engaged in sexual activity could be prosecuted. It was up to the National Director of Public Prosecutions to decide whether they should, so the law made it that it must be a very senior person who decides to institute a prosecution. And the intention was not to criminalize them, but to have them diverted, put on programs and so on. That matter went to the Constitutional Court in a case brought by the Teddy Bear Clinic, and the Constitutional Court said that's unconstitutional. That it's not right to criminalize consensual sex between children. And the Sexual Offences Amendment Act, it's been passed by Parliament, it's been signed into law by the President, was implementing that decision of the Constitutional Court.
So, I'm sure Reverend Misho is not very happy with you.
Look, the ACDP, there's an ACDP member of the Justice Committee, Steve Swart. I think they found it quite difficult because it clearly was a directive, really, from the Constitutional Court. When it came to, there was no vote called in the House, in the National Assembly, but I think it's something, what must we do with these children? Must we send them to jail? That's effectively the question that the Constitutional Court was asking. It's not by decriminalizing, it's not saying that sexual relations should be encouraged. They shouldn't be. Children need to be told to wait until they're emotionally ready. I mean, it's caused a fair amount of controversy in some sectors, but the bottom line is parents must look after their children.
Do you think that that responsibility is being shifted perhaps to government?
Obviously, I think those people who expected it still to be criminalized were expecting not so much government but the state to take action against children under the age of 16 who are engaged in sexual activity. And that can't be the case. It's got to be for responsible adults, for parents, for guardians, for those people to guide the children. And
let's look at the issues regarding the abuse of women, and let's rather focus on government legislation in as far as women abuse is concerned. Are you watertight?
No, there's a lot of laws. We're trying continuously to improve the laws. The problem is the implementation of the laws. And obviously, if men stopped abusing women, then there wouldn't be a problem. So the problem starts with an individual, a man in society, who, for whatever reason, decides to abuse or rape a woman. And government then, the state, has to come in and tighten up the provisions to ensure that a person, if there's a rape, that person gets prosecuted, looking at ways of improving the system to make sure that that person is properly prosecuted. There's issues of making it more difficult for people accused of rape to get bail, all those kinds of issues. But the bottom line is if men in South Africa behaved better towards women, none of this would be necessary.
Then you also have a scenario where your department has seen cases postponed, reminded, I mean, there's a case that only ended a week or so ago, which was remanded 30 times. And the prosecutor was actually saying, you know what, the accused tried everything in the book to try and get away of this particular case. Don't you think you're failing women there?
Everybody's got rights, okay? Both the victims and an accused. A person is innocent until proven guilty. Yes, and that means also that they've got a right to legal representation if a substantial injustice could occur. It does mean that in a few cases, I think they're more limited cases, people try and delay the trial by changing legal representation midway through. So yeah, there are those problems, but we've got a duty to ensure that people are properly tried. That people have the opportunity to defend themselves in court, and that a decision is then made after those processes have been followed.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, taking your calls, what are your views? Do you want to have a question towards the Deputy Minister about any of the matters that we've discussed, or something else perhaps which you may have? The number to dial 089-110-4210. If you're outside the borders, 002789-110-4210. This is Question Time.
Sparks fly over Verwoerd. Let's now have a look at this. Now, Verwoerd, the comment yesterday, Njanji, Mr. Sparks lived up to his name and caused quite a few sparks.
It was quite shocking for me to hear him compare H.F. Verwoerd to Helen Zille in terms of her orator skills.
Mugabe to compensate white farmers for land grab.
I don't know if I'm justified to call it truth and reconciliation Mugabe style.
Watch Media Monitor with me, Alicia Jali, Sundays at 9 a.m. only on the SABC News Channel.
My guest today, John Jeffrey, is the Deputy Minister in the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. And we're taking your questions, but perhaps before we take your questions, Deputy Minister, let us quickly just go back to the maintenance issues. You were saying that it is possible that cell phones can be used to trace the, I don't know, what are they called, suspects or defaulters?
Defaulters.
Okay.
Or the person, the person who the one parent feels should pay maintenance. Look, it's three other issues with the bill that are going to be quite important.
Yes.
The one is that courts will be able to grant interim orders for maintenance. So if the other party, the opposing party, is trying to delay the proceedings, the court can grant an interim order. Okay. Secondly, if the one parent only has the cell number of the other parent, usually the father, the court can order the cell phone service provider to supply the address of that
But that normally takes time, Section 205.
Look, it can take time, but at the moment there's been no mechanism to enable that address to be obtained. This would be the person claiming maintenance asking the magistrate in court to order that the cell phone service provider supply the address of the number.
Okay.
And then the third one is that currently people can only claim maintenance where they live. When the amendments go through, they will also be able to claim maintenance, go to a court where they work. So they won't have to take too much time off work. It's another method to try and make things easier.
But is there no other way that this monies can be paid out? I mean, do people have to take day offs to go and claim the monies and all that?
The bottom line is that parents should support their children. So yes, you shouldn't have to go to court to claim maintenance. But unfortunately, that's what happens.
Okay. There's another point here where men are saying we are also being abused, whether it be emotionally or blackmailed or any other how. How are you protecting them?
All the laws apply to men and women. So a rape is not something done by a man to a woman. It can also be done by a woman to a man. So a sexual offence is a sexual offence regardless of whether it's a man or a woman who is the victim. A lot of the other maintenance, there's no difference between the father and the mother. So if the mother is working and the father is not, and the father is looking after the child, that father can claim maintenance.
Okay.
Domestic violence, men can get those orders against their partners. The issue, though, is obviously that the percentage of male victims are much smaller than female victims.
Correct. Ndwake, you are in Protea.
Yeah, I'm in Protea.
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Mpo.
Yes.
This is TV2. I'm going to talk my language.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, because we have never grown like that. Even our ministers, they have charity begins they've never grown like that. That 12 years simple. You are entitled for sex to 16 years. I came on for you. I'm not happy about that. Yeah, because the poor of the poorest is going to go for sex because that person wants money to go and eat at this place. You get my point?
But yanong osundwaki problem ha so hore lona as the family or batho ka kakaretso jwalo ka setjhaba, you are failing to bring up responsible children by leng hore ba tseba hore they are not supposed to be engaging in sex.
Mamela ngwananne ha re tsamaile bana ba mo ba tsamayang teng ha se ba godile like ngwana 12 years wa boroma ko shopong a lo re ka borotho. You get my point?
Okay.
You get my point? Yeah. So I'm not happy about that part only.
Okay.
Yeah. Sex mo bane.
Okay. DM Talk is not happy at all that children at the age of 12 have now, well, not necessarily rights, but they can engage in sexual activities without consequences.
Look, there's always consequences, but remember, look, as I said, there's not much. It was a constitutional court decision, but the court reached the decision on the basis that children should be allowed to experiment. And I think the points I just want to make is that it's consensual sex between adolescents. So both the kids have to be in agreement. It can't be one forcing the other one to do things that they don't want to. And if it is an older person, that older person would still be charged. Okay. So if there was references, I think I heard, to children asking for money for sex from older people, those older people will be charged. They're still committing an offense.
You know, I don't want to ask a rhetorical question, but suppose Memali Duka, wherever she is, she says, what kind of parents are these ones who sit in the constitutional court, who decide that children should not face, legal consequences for having sex? Or is this the part where politics becomes challenging?
Well, it's a legal question. So it's not a political question, it's a legal question, and it's the courts interpreting the rights of people. And the one aspect was that there was a case where, you may recall it, where children, adolescents engaged in sexual activity, consensual sexual activity. They videotaped themselves, and that then went viral or got distributed. Those children were charged as per the decision of the National Director of Public Prosecutions. They were diverted to be put onto a program, but those children were actually completely traumatized by their experience, simply of being charged, not even being tried. And as far as I recall, some of them dropped out, of school because of that, and one of them even ended up taking her own life.
Isaac, you are in Limpopo.
Yes, Mpo. I have a question, Mpo.
Yes, the DM is listening.
There's something that I don't understand. Isn't it possible for the department to withdraw that money straight from your salary? Maybe go to your employer and say this person must pay a maintenance. I think it would be easy because this thing of blacklisting, I mean, sometimes is very difficult. Why don't they just go to our employer and say this person must pay maintenance? I think it would be easy. Just get an answer from the deputy minister there.
Okay.
So I wasn't hearing entirely. It's about the maintenance order. I mean, obviously, what happens? It's usually the mother would go to court to say the father of the child is working. He's earning so much. The mother is earning so much or not employed. And she would approach the court for the court to set a figure for maintenance. The father should be participating in that process as well, defending if the mother is asking for too much money. An amount will then be set, and the father is then meant to pay that every month. He can pay that through his employer. He can pay it direct to the mother, which is actually preferable. The problem then comes in if he doesn't pay. And up until now, what the mother has then had to do is to go back to court and start getting the sheriff to attach his property, to sell off the property to recover what he owes. And that can still be done. But all that's been added is that if he's not paying, the mother can then ask for him to be blacklisted. Okay. And that hopefully will increase the pressure on the father. And as I said, if the father's not able to pay because he's lost his job, his circumstances have changed, then he must go back to the court to say that. Okay. So he shouldn't be blacklisted for no reason. The problem, though, is when some men don't get their priorities right and they would rather pay for something else than for supporting their child.
Malitsu, you are in the Free State?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, really, well, I understand that children need to be given a chance to experience. But really, sir, it scares me because, children get more excited when they hear this news, ne? So they want to experience really what they do really, like the minister just said, they want to experience it, and tomorrow there's a problem. Tomorrow she gets pregnant at the age of 12 years. What am I going to do now? What must I do now? I'm not working at the time. Must I allow my child to have a kid at that tiny age?
But perhaps, Melody, tell me. Melody?
Children that...
Can you hear me?
Hello, man?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
I wanted you to just perhaps tell us, how do you understand this bill or the act?
I totally disagree with it, really, sir.
Okay. Did you consult people like him?
There was a lot of consultation done, and in fact, the court gave a deadline, a date by which Parliament had to have corrected the law to decriminalise consensual sex.
Was there enough response?
And there was a lot of response.
Positive?
And no, a lot of negative response. Parliament, in fact, had to approach the court and ask for more time so that it could engage with further consultations. But I think, let me put it this way, the issue is it's not saying that the children should have sex. It's simply saying you cannot make it a crime. The state can't take responsibility for that.
Yes.
And really what it is saying is that parents must actually give proper guidance. Parents and guardians must give proper guidance to their children.
Okay. We've run out of time, but I want to give you perhaps final thoughts or closing thoughts.
Look, thanks very much for having me on the program. We've dealt with just a few issues. I think the biggest problem with justice matters, particularly relating to women and vulnerable groups, is the laws are there. The problem is getting those laws to work and enforcing them. And obviously, with a lot of the criminal aspects, if everybody behaved, respected the rights of other people, treated other people well, then you wouldn't have so many problems in our courts.
And didn't behave like idiots.
I'll keep quiet on that one.
That was Question Time for today. A big thank you to my guest and to you for watching this show. Get in touch with us. questiontime@sabc.co.za. Our Twitter handle @questiontime24. From me and the crew, have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.